Did you hear what she just said? I had always heard that Charlie had said, oh, they're going to kill me over this, but I had never heard it verified that he really did. And I certainly never heard that he had sent that text message the day before he got killed. On September 9th, they're going to kill me. Imagine what that means as it relates to an investigation. Okay. Who's he talking about? You think he's talking about Tyler Robinson? Imagine if someone next door to you got, and in their final moments of life, they wrote on a piece of paper, Philip did this. And then the police get an open shut case because the next door neighbor did it. And it's like, is that person's name Philip? They're like, nope, but we got him. Are you sure you got him? Because this dude is literally telling you that a guy named Philip did it. It's like, yeah, but the next door neighbor, we know it's him. Why? Well, because, the rifle matches and the dad said he did it or something. I don't know. Trans furry lover. For sure it's him. Man, so Candace went hard in the paint on the TPUSA head of security that did the interview with Sean Ryan. I'm going to show you that first. And then we've got a very interesting clip from another interview that she did. And she did with Myron Gaines. And spoiler, the absolute last part of this video, she revealed something I did not know about. And I certainly didn't know was real. And it's such a gut punch to what the narrative has been that I just was, I've been going along. I'm like, you know what? We're just ending on that right there. It might be so big that I have titled this video about it, but believe me, there is so much other stuff in this video that I feel totally fine saying like, this is what the title is. That's the last thing in the video, but you'd be out of your mind to skip the rest of it. So we're going to get into what she said. We're going to get into this right now in terms of what she's doing with the security guard, because she starts off by just straight up listing the verified lies that TPUSA has told. And then we're going to get into all of that. Now, if you guys do not mind helping me out, okay, I got a video demonetized on Sunday, and the way that my trust score works with YouTube is now, this is consistent. As soon as I get a video demonetized, my reach gets absolutely murked. Look at my last couple videos. I've been negative subscribers on the last 5. Okay, so Sunday I got my video demonetized, and Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I have not been shown to anyone new, like no one, not a single person. The only way to break out of that is by engagement from my current people, and I appreciate you guys are always great about that. So if you guys don't mind commenting, liking the video, and obviously if you have not subscribed yet, if you would subscribe, that would be amazing to offset some of me getting my balls kicked in this week, because it's very frustrating. I work really hard, and I hate when this happens, but it is what it is. So I really appreciate all of you guys' help. Let's get into this list real quick, and then we'll see what she has to say about the head of security. Oh, but first, obviously, let me read this list because she's going to read the rest of the next one. So these are verified lies according to Candace. Number 1, the amazing, heroic, magnificent Mikey McCoy had blood all over him. Offender, Pastor Rob McCoy. That's been verified, not accurate. Number 2, Charlie was a committed evangelical who only liked Catholic architecture. Alex Clark and Andrew Colvett. That one I'm going to let slide only because of the implications on their organization if that ended up being true. Like, that doesn't mean that they necessarily were involved in the crime. Charlie's neck stuffed a 30-06 bullet because he ate salad and had strong bones. It was a modern day Christian miracle. Yeah, that's anyway. Well, that's one that she said was not true. Charlie never blinked in his support for Israel. That is definitely not true. Josh Hammer and Bibi Netanyahu. 5, the magnificent Mikey McCoy called his father first. Offender Rob McCoy. Terrell Audiovisual was told to remove the cameras by police. Not true. And now we're going to go to page 2, and we're going to let her read the other ones.
By the way, we're on 2 pages. Here's a second page. It's getting long. And I'm wondering why any lies are being told, right? Brian did this interview months later, and they still don't have their ducks in a row. By the way, elsewhere in that interview with Brian Harpole, the security guy, with Sean Ryan, he reiterates, he doubles down on the idea that Charlie ate 3,000 pounds of energy coming at him. Take a listen.
So the bullet came in and hit the vertebra. So it came in and then tore up everything in the wound cavity, hit the vertebra, crushed it, shattered it, turned, crushed the second one, turned, kept going down all the way. I think they said C6.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it's like, why not put that info out? Why not put it out? And then
why wouldn't they put that out?
And if do me a favor, don't make me do it. It's not my job. And so then it got to here, and you're exactly right. and then hit, I think, 6 and then fragged. And so explanation 101. What are you hiding? Yeah. It's like I'm sitting back here when people are saying we bombed him or there's at wound. I'm like, hey, if somebody would, from an official capacity, would just release that. And I don't see how that could jeopardize a fair trial for a guy.
So
yeah, and for the record, I don't know what she's going to say here. What I do know is that I showed that, and I'm like, I agree. How on earth could that jeopardize a fair trial for Tyler Robinson, assuming Tyler Robinson's a real person since he's no footage. But, yeah, what is that about?
To be clear, the only person that can actually release his autopsy report is Erika, next of kin. That's given to the next of kin. That's like the Utah state policy. If he's suggesting that the feds are blocking her from doing that, I mean, he's in that statement, why not just release it? They could in theory just release it. And yeah, it's not going to jeopardize anything. The reason they're sending you out to do it is because they don't want to be caught lying themselves. The feds have told a ton of lies. That's the problem. And they don't want to add to it. So it's easier to sound a security person and say, oh, we never said that. He said that. If what he is saying is true, Charlie wasn't shot by a 30-06, which we've been telling you from the beginning. Okay? We've been telling you Charlie was not shot by a 30-06. He was not that damaged. I told you this. I've confirmed this. Okay? And so you are left to believe that this really was a modern day miracle. And that bullet came at him from 150 yards, 3,000 pounds of energy, and it just pinged off the back of his neck and went down into his stomach. Or Charlie was shot with a smaller weapon, okay? A smaller caliber. Either or, you get to decide. You get to decide whether Salad can do that. You get to decide whether you're accepting the Popeye the Sailor Man.
Let me tell you guys something that I just realized, okay? I think that what Candace is saying is that Erika showed her the autopsy, okay? Pretty sure that's what she's saying. I'm pretty sure that's what she's saying. She literally just said the only person that can release it is Erika, and she seems pretty fucking confident to me, dude. And she's like, I am telling you, he was not damaged like that. He was not damaged like that. Why are they making this up? And if that is the case, and she's seen the medical report, and they're out here saying things that are not true, can you that's what I'm realizing more and more in this case is because I had no reason to not believe the official story, but it's like the more that I put myself in Candace's position, it's like new stuff comes out, and it's like, okay, well, she knew that this whole time. I didn't know that. Imagine how this would appear to you if in this exact situation, if you've spoken to Charlie's wife, and Charlie's wife is like, here it is, I want, take a look. And it says, yeah, entry here, bullet fragment back here, whatever. And then none of the things that they're saying are accurate. And then they're going out and they're telling these stories and that's not true. How would that look to you? You know what I mean? You'd be like, all right, well, clearly there's something much more nefarious going on, right? I mean, that seems like common sense to me.
Narrative, and he ate spinach. And then the next thing you know, everything was great and he was strong. You decide. They think you're stupid. They think we're all stupid. Obviously, this is a conspiracy, okay? It is a conspiracy. And I was so happy to hear Joe Rogan spell out and acknowledge that not only are conspiracies real, but they're actually.
Yeah. And I've got a clip of Joe Rogan coming in my subsequent video. But for this one, now we are going to move right over to the Myron stuff. And we got a lot left to go. Because at the end of this, she is going to validate what we had heard, which is that Charlie really did say, they're going to kill me over this. The day before he got killed. Okay, just to put that back in perspective, okay, because I had never heard that part before. The day before he was killed, Charlie text messaged one of his friends and said, they're going to kill me. And he certainly wasn't talking about Tyler Robinson. I had no idea. One day before. And you're going to hear about that in a second. Well, you'll hear about it at the end. So stick around. So what we're going to see here is Candace Owens talking to Myron about why she is suspicious of TPUSA, what got her into this case, so on and so forth, etc. And she's got a lot to say, and I like how she's explaining it to Myron, assuming that he doesn't know as much as people like I do, which in almost every case ends up showing me something that I had missed in terms of detail. So I like how she does this. So let's rock on this. And there's a lot to go over in this, and then in the next one also, where she itemizes all the lies.
You're definitely one of the most outspoken people when it comes to the Charlie Kirk investigation and what's going on there. Obviously, you knew him personally. You guys have worked together for many years. I'll kind of just turn it to you, and you can just tell me, because you've been looking at this for a while now. It's almost it's over 2 months now. Can you take us through what you think happened on that day, what led you to believe that, and the timeline in general, who you think is actually responsible, who might be covering things up and everything like that?
By the way, real quick, shout to Myron for his coverage of Akash Singh's wife, because as much as that is kind of like a silly topic that is almost embarrassing to even talk about in the same vein as the Charlie Kirk stuff, it's really fun, dude. I needed a break from this really serious stuff, and it's been absolutely fantastic getting to dunk on that girl who absolutely deserves it. Deserves every single dunk on her face. Dunk on her face, dude. Just kidding. But anyway, shout to Myron. Good job.
Yeah, so I can tell you that I view the Charlie Kirk assassination as a military hit. I do not know who called the hit yet, but it's military. There's no question in my mind that it was a military.
Or foreign, or?
Well, I don't view the U.S. military as being controlled by the U.S. I mean, there are a lot of people. We've been globalized for a very long time. I don't know that there's a difference there's decisions that are made in Ukraine for America. I mean, this is the tentacles of the U.S. military.
Yep.
It's a much broader and longer conversation that needs to be had. I mean, I think since JFK was assassinated, I don't know who's in control of anything, right?
The interesting thing to actually evaluate when it comes to that conversation is when you look at when we deploy military assets across the world, what the real end game is. And if you encompass the entire picture, okay? So as an example, right? If you're looking at Ukraine, we as just regular civilians, by the way, I'm sure you can guess what is going on with my hand without me getting into it, and if you don't know, don't worry about it. Not a big deal. But this happened last year. Anyway, but so to look at what's going on in Ukraine, to us, we're like, who cares about Ukraine? Like, who cares about Ukraine? Why are we pushing NATO down Russia's throat? What are we doing? And the more that you look into the entire situation in Ukraine, as I did for a long time, looking at the Burisma stuff, and then looking at where our funds are being allocated and why, and then watching interviews with these bureaucrats that are the ones who are actually physically on the ground interacting with all of these people, it's very hard to get away from the conclusion that essentially what you're looking at is corporations, the largest corporations in the United States, driving the military in there because there are physical areas that hold precious minerals or energy resources or whatever. And they're like, we need to control these. And when you first look at that at surface level, you're like, okay, so we're paying taxes into this big pot. We're spending way more money than we bring in taxes. And we're sending this over there in terms of military contracts, war fighters, tanks and bombs and missiles and all of that stuff that these guys benefit from over here. The energy sector benefits over here. How do I benefit? You know what I mean? How does the American taxpayer benefit? And that would be a question that I would pose as a civilian. The reality, though, in many cases is when you really actually speak to someone who has an all-encompassing view of these things, sometimes they can tie things together in a way where you're like, oh, okay, just I don't have enough information to have a holistic view on these things. And I am in no way defending us in Ukraine. This is a random example, right? That I know these corporations are benefiting immensely there. And I know the main thing that opened my eyes on that one was when the primary diplomat that was representing the United States in Ukraine, she was doing these interviews and she was just talking openly about how she was engaged with the heads of these, the defense contractors and the energy sector, Chevron, whatever. And then she was going and they're installing a new government and she's literally doing it on behalf of American corporations. You're like, what the, you know what I mean? It's so I mean, I don't know. Does that mean America's in control in that situation? Or does it mean, do you understand what I'm saying? So I completely agree with her. It's just interesting to kind of look at each individual thing and realize how little control the American voter has over any of this stuff, because there's so many things going on that we are A, not privy to, and B, wouldn't have the ability to control even if we wanted to. You know what I mean?
Much of what we see in the political realm is just an illusion. We're talking about what's happening in Congress, and decisions are made in boardrooms, in my view. With Charlie, I think that with everything that I have uncovered, there was very clearly a faith infiltration that happened. And I'm putting faith in quotation marks, because Charlie would have believed the people that came to him and told him to grow the organization and, to become the boots on the ground for faith. He cared very deeply about his faith. And the characters, the cast of characters and the pastors that are around him, rotten, like very rotten. The McCoys, Rob McCoy, unbelievably rotten. And I've been covering a lot with him.
There was a stream that I saw on Ian Carroll's channel, okay, and where Rob McCoy was doing something, and in real time, okay, when oh my God, the guy who did all of the Google searches and found the Google trends, people searching from Israel or whatever, that guy was showing this, and in real time, while he was live, McCoy went and deleted made the video private. And then when Ian Carroll brought it up on his Apple, his audience found it on Apple Podcasts, and as he brings it on to live stream there, immediately thousands of first-time Twitch bots bombarded his chat trying to get his chat taken down. And I listened to it. I listened to what was in that sermon, and without getting too sidetracked here, like, he's supposed to be a source of Christian scripture, right? You know what I mean? Like, the Christian faith is you're supposed to be a leader in that, right? And this sermon that they deleted is so damning for that story, because clearly he's serving a different master.
What it's looking like is that Calvary Chapel has been accused of tons in the past, and also accused of hostilely taking over well-meaning faith organizations and ministries, with Rob McCoy at the center of some of these scandals. It's looking to me like Turning Point's apparatus provided an opportunity. Now, who they're actually working for, what they're actually doing, I don't know. But I can tell you it is not about Jesus Christ. Okay. And
exactly what I was just saying. I hadn't even heard her say that yet, but exactly what I'm saying. We are totally aligned on that.
This would explain why, for some unknown reason, Christian Zionist influencers have been losing their minds about the idea of investigating the Charlie Kirk assassination. It's odd. Like, I looked up and I'm going, why are Christian Zionists trying to use Bible verses to say that we shouldn't question anything? I mean, everybody knows you were a cop.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing you do when there's been a murder is to look around at the money, the finances, and the people around him. Common sense. Like, and then you pair that with the actual impossible things that they are telling us. It was a Christian miracle. His neck just stopped a 30-06 from 150 yards away. It was just your modern Christian miracle. That's Fed slop, but it's worse than that. It's Christian slop. People using the Bible to psychologically convince you, Jesus performed miracles, and this was just one of them. Charlie loved his faith.
When someone starts playing the I want to get a narrative past you, and I'm going to invoke your faith base in order to do that, a person like me is going to pick it out instantaneously. And you know what's crazy? I've always felt very, very, very like aligned and connected with Candace, and I couldn't really explain why as much. And then when I was listening to her, either yesterday or the day before, and she was talking about looking at a person and going with her gut, I was like, there it is. I've never heard, I know there's a lot of people that have the eyes. That's how I describe what she's talking about. And the thing that I do is like, oh, they have the eyes. And that just means, you can just look at a person, you're like, got him. But I've never heard someone just talk about it so openly like she does, besides myself. I feel that confident in my ability to do it, and she's the same. But you know what the number one thing is with the eyes? You can always pick out other people who also have the eyes. Some of them don't even really realize it. They just are kind of like, yeah, I just get feelings about people. It's like, I think it's a little bit more than that. It's a very valuable skill to have. But again, bringing this all the way back over here, it's like a person who was going to be like, well, God told me to tell you that you shouldn't look into, dude. The guy could literally be standing there like this, not saying anything, and I'd be like, don't trust that. The second they do that, it's, give me a break, dude. There's no coming back. And certainly McCoy falls into that category for me.
They're lying about weird stuff. I consider it a clue that they are lying about where Charlie was at in terms of his faith journey. They lied about the Hampton Summit. They lied about the fact that he had said, I have no choice but to abandon the pro-Israel cause. I just watched them all lie because I needed to see where all the stakes were. These are weird lies.
Yeah.
The one thing that connects all of these lies is faith. So that's where the focus of my investigation is right now. And I'm coming up looking and going, all of these characters are dirty that were around him. So you're not going to hold up a Bible like a false prophet and tell me not to look here, or else I'm going to be condemned to hell. Because let me tell you how the Bible works, okay? Christ is king. What that means is truth is king. And if anybody is using the Bible to tell you not to pursue truth, you are dealing with somebody who is manipulating you.
Who do you
Someone who uses religion to manipulate everyone is what you're looking at. Because to do that, that is a very specific type of tactic, okay? A very specific type of tactic that can only be done by a person who has established himself as a faith leader. And any faith leader that would do that is a person that you can't trust for anything, like nothing. What you can trust every time is that you should not trust them in any situation. There isn't a situation where you can trust them, a person who would do that. Like, that's the kind of lie that is, it's like a tattoo, an X on their forehead tattooed, where you're like, don't need to know anything else about this person. That X, never trust them. Like, and they're a bad actor, dude. Because think about that, dude. Think about using people's faith in God to manipulate their behavior, and you pretend like you're speaking for God. Think about the level of how big of a lack of belief you would have to have in order to feel comfortable doing that. You're sitting in a role where you are pretending that your entire life is built around this base faith that drives your life, to the point where you have dedicated your life to scripture and sharing it. No one would pretend to speak for God and manipulate people if they actually believed at all, because they would obviously be terrified of what the repercussions would be, when they get where they're going. So they have to be a complete non-believer in order to do that. So a person who presents himself completely in the cloak of this thing doesn't believe in any of it and is willing to use this thing to get what they want from the people who do. It's monstrous. All right, let's continue though, because we got more to get to.
think, I guess, I know you said the people around him, but who do you think is the most responsible? Why would they want him gone?
I think Charlie was not allowed to be anything but a Christian Zionist. And he was changing in the last few weeks. When I look at the timeline that I put together, some weird stuff, this Egyptian plane that was started tracking him, everything began ratcheting up after Tucker Carlson hit the stage. And
in July.
Mm-hmm,
Oh yeah, I was there for that. Yeah.
Yeah. That pissed
him off.
That was a something.
Yeah.
So I think Charlie was done, as Megan showed the video. He was telling Tucker to go max. All of the things that they lied about, we've now proven. And why were they lying about it? That's why this is the thing. Why lie if you have nothing to cover up? That's my common sense here. You only lie because you have something to cover up. No matter what the lie is you only lie because there's something that you're hiding. So if they had all come out right when Charlie died, if Seth Dillon, who pressed Charlie in the Hamptons, was like, oh my gosh, my biggest regret is the last time I saw Charlie, I was being such a jerk about the Israel. They were so stupid. And this is a reminder that you never know when you're going to see somebody last. It would have been like, oh, okay, nothing to see here.
Okay, but in fairness, there also is the possibility that everybody who's involved in this thing, you can call them whatever you want, but dumb, You know, these are very smart people, whether they're good actors, bad actors, whatever. Most of them are extremely intelligent. And so they're smart enough to be able to know, okay, this looks bad. If they had nothing to do with it, right? And I'm not, believe me, I'm not even involved in that conversation in this video. I'm just saying, like, if they had nothing to do with it, they are smart enough to know, like, this looks real bad, right? Like, this looks real bad. We just started putting pressure on him here. We have this. And, you know, he just got smoked. Like, this is a political atomic bomb that just went off. Let's try to control the narrative as best we can. Let's get out in front of this thing. Ben Shapiro says, hey, we're going to pick up the bloody microphone that Charlie left on that campus, and we're coming through. And Candace is like, I dare you to try to do that. And they're like, never mind. You know what I mean? That was like that. Clearly that's who she was talking about. She was like, you better back off now, or I will release everything. And there is no question that's who I mean, at least in my mind, that's who she was talking about. But you have to at least entertain that, like, they would just know, okay, this looks really bad. I'm not saying they didn't do it or whatever, but it's possible.
It was like a full court press effort to lie about everything. Josh Hammer, he never blinked on Israel. He was on the text message chain where Charlie said 48 hours before he died that he was done with the pro-Israel cause. Why lie? That's my question.
But that okay, again, I'm sorry. I really am not trying to derail this about like who did it and why. But that 48-hour thing, the problem I've always had with that narrative is like, so are we saying that like that they put together this assassination in 2 days? Like, what would be so pressing? Why would, you know, I mean, listen, dude, it is totally possible that they are so brazen that they are like, we can do whatever we want globally. That is not even moderately impossible. Not even moderately impossible. These people live in a world that regular folks cannot understand. Okay. If you think that it is some big thing for them to kill a person, dude, you don't understand anything. These people kill people with the snap of their fingers. Okay. If you've been in war, like ask anybody and ask any very experienced operator who has, you know, 50, it doesn't even matter, a bunch of people that they've killed in combat. Like, hey, how big of a deal would it be to you if you were at the grocery store and, you know, there were no laws against it and someone hit a girl and you just pulled out a gun and smoked them? Like, you know, would that be a big deal to you? They'd be like, no, not a big deal. Now imagine the scale that these people kill people at in war. Okay, like it's no big deal. And they also seem to operate absent any repercussions for anything that they do. But in fairness, still 2 days. I mean, that's fast to put something together. Like in my mind, whoever did this had to have had this in motion way before 2 days, which only means that the how impactful that one interaction that Charlie had in that thread, it just means it's hard. I'm hard pressed to believe that was like some big catalyst for his murder, because I don't believe they could put it together in 2 days. 2 days? Like I couldn't plan fucking family Thanksgiving in 2 days, much less commit a public murder at UVU with, you know what I mean? That just seems unlikely to me.
And I don't like the silence from Turning Point employees. I know for a fact one of them, I'm not going to name, has a text message from Charlie the day before he died saying, they are going to kill me.
Wow.
Now, he was not referring to the trans lobby when he wrote that message.
Yeah.
So why not present, if you are his friend and you're interested in the truth, why wouldn't you tell the public that? Wouldn't you just come right out to the public and say, hey, I don't know what happened, but like Charlie thought they were going to kill him.
Well, that certainly changes things. I had heard rumors about that. I had never heard that straight up verified like that. She's not lying. Like, she's not making that up. I'm actually surprised that she's keeping the secret of who it is. But I did not realize that was true. The they're going to kill me thing. And it really, really makes you wonder, given that text message is real, which I would assume the person who has it would have at the very least handed it over to authorities, why would they shut down the investigation into foreign involvement in this? If that's what Charlie was talking about. You know, it's like you find a corpse and there's a note that's like written in their own blood as they were dying, and they're like, Jesse did it. then you get there, they're like, hey, look, this one witness says that the next door neighbor did it. And they're like, is his name Jesse? And they're like, no, it's not. And he's like, well, the victim with his last breath on earth wrote Jesse did it. So we should probably take a look at Jesse. They're like, no. We are not letting this investigation sprawl on any of these wild goose chases. Okay? We're going to stick to the next door neighbor. That's how ludicrous that is. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and end on that, actually, because that seems like the thing to end on. That's wild. Anyway, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell. Love you guys. Bye-bye.